And I'm not going to use the word bothered, but a little bit uncomfortable with this comment from this person, okay? Pitching coach, this is NBC Sports Bay Area again. Brian Price is the pitching coach for the Giants.
Shout out Tam High.
Listen to this one.
I think the entire team feels that we are primed to bust out after the All-Star break when we have, we know what the rotation looks like. We know that we'll have 5 healthy guys. We know we'll have guys that are continuing to develop in AAA that can give us some support if we need it, and that potentially we have the ability to kind of decrease the workload on the bullpen, which would be huge. If we could have the bullpen have a little bit lower workload and that they could be pitching more rested, I think we could anticipate having them strong through the finish of the season.
Okay, Brian, there's nothing wrong with what you just said there. And certainly the injury situations that have developed this year, from Blake Snell and his adductor to Kyle Harrison and his box squats and the delay on Alex Cobb, all of these things are not your fault at all. However, Brian has not done a good job this year. He has not done a good job. So hearing him sort of say we're primed to break out because these things are now about to fall our way. A, don't count your chickens before they hatch. I don't know that things are about to fall your way. We've been being told for 6 months that Alex Cobb is 2 weeks away. So, and Robbie Ray he's never pitched as a Giant. So I'm not counting those chickens yet. It's great that Blake Snell has had back-to-back really nice outings. That's wonderful. But there are plenty of questions still to answer, and here's 2 things you must know. A, when you've got an entire pitching staff that has been unable all year long to hold runners on first base, that's a coaching problem.
I'll buy that.
That's a coaching problem. That's number 1. Number 2, now this is prior to Blake Snell. This is prior to the weekend. But I want to read you a set of numbers that will absolutely blow you away. Okay? This is as of Friday afternoon.
Okay.
The San Francisco Giants pitching staff, 25th in the league in ERA. They are 28th in average against, 26th in WHIP, and they have allowed the 3rd most hits in all of baseball. Those numbers may have adjusted slightly to the better after the weekend because they largely had a good pitching weekend against the Twins, even when they lost. Close pitchers do a 4-2. Snell amazing yesterday, and they only gave up 1 run on Friday night. So very good weekend for the pitching staff, even though the bullpen blew a lead yesterday. But outside of that, there's no other way to say this. This pitching staff has been bad. Not unlucky, not inconsistent, bad. There's only 30 teams in baseball, and you're 25th or worse in all of the most important numbers. This has been a bad pitching staff. It has been a pitching staff that lacks awareness. Yes, they have been taxed. That is a reason. It can't be the only reason. So it's hard for me to sit here 97 games in and hear the pitching coach, who's done a poor job, sit here and tell us it's about to get good.
Well, help is coming. And I don't know how much of that, like the first thing about holding runners, that's something that needs to be coached better. And you also need to have pitchers who have better moves. And, you have a lot of guys who are languid and slow to the plate, and you don't do a good job of holding runners. As far as how bad your pitching has been, I don't put a lot of that on the pitching coach. I look at who you've had out there as starters, and you haven't been good enough. Keaton Winn has been struggling when he had a chance to get the ball. And Blake Snell, your supposed co-ace, has been unavailable to pitch at all. So I think a lot of the struggles that they've had are on the individuals. Individually, you've got to go out there and be a better pitcher. I don't know how much of that is on the pitching coach. The fact that they lead baseball in bullpen innings is something that, I would put on the players more than I would put on Brian Price, because they've got no choice but to go to the bullpen.
I'm not even necessarily arguing that. I am not putting this all on Brian Price. I'm simply saying that 97 games in, he's not done a good job.
Yeah, they have not done a good job.
That's accurate, too.
Yeah, I think that the pitchers themselves have not done a good job.
So I might be reacting the exact same way if any of the pitchers, sort of like not named Logan Webb, would have come out yesterday and been like, we're about to boogie. I don't want to be about to boogie. Why aren't you boogieing? Yes, your bullpen's been taxed. I get it. But there's too many things going on right now that don't make sense. The way teams have run on you does not make sense. The way Camilo Doval is pitching does not make sense. And oh, by the way, these numbers that I just gave you, these pitchers are blessed with the best pitching park in all of baseball.
Good point.
This is no different than the Rockies having crappy hitting stats. And by the way, they do.
Yeah.
And guess what? They're an awful baseball team. So,
in the best hitting park in baseball. Yeah, Giants 23rd in starter ERA, 23rd in bullpen ERA.
So, don't look at anyone else. Don't look at anyone else. Look at you.
Look in the mirror.
Yes.
And even Logan Webb, I know he's an all-star, but his numbers are fairly pedestrian with a 3.47 ERA and a whip of 1.24. And I know that a lot of that came in the one recent inning.
The ERA got jacked
Big time, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack's Restaurant and Bar. It got jacked up based on, that last outing.
But he's been hovering around the high 2s, the low 3s all year.
That's good, though.
He's been fine. Logan's been good, yeah. But the rest of the starting staff has not been terrific. Jordan Hicks is starting to level off, and so maybe that's what Brian Price is referring to when you get Robbie Ray back, and eventually if you do get Alex Cobb, I'm not holding my breath. He was supposed to be ready in early May and then late May and then early June, and then here we are in mid-July and still, no real sign of him coming immediately. But when they do get more help and more depth, that should help the starters as well as the bullpen.
888-957-9570, all jacked up this week here on 95.7 The Game, sponsored by Jack's Restaurant and Bar. Willard and Dibs in the morning, Bonte and Joe in the midday, and Steiny and Goo in the afternoon. Jose in Oakland giving us a call. Hey, Jose, good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. Good to hear you in the morning. By the way, you're the only reason why I'm on 95.7 The Game this time of the day. And is this going to be a permanent or just 1 week?
Just 1 week, Jose. Just 1 week.
Man, that's enough for me, dog. Okay, they have to make it permanent.
That's going to be a no for me, dog.
They've lost so many listeners with the format they had before for so many reasons. I don't want to get into it. As far as the Giants, look, this in the day said they have a feeling they're ready to bust out. Bust out what, man? I'm not ready to bust out a vein on my neck every time I see them play. They're so lame. And for the pitching coach to say that they have help they can use on AAA, whatever they had on AAA that was worth anything, it's already up in the major leagues, and there's nothing much to brag about. To be honest with you, Blake Snell, if he keeps pitching the way he's pitching, he'll be gone by the end of the year. Okay.
Why do you say that, Jose? What do you mean he'll be gone?
You think he's going to stick around here with this team?
You're talking. Okay, you're talking about after the year. You're talking about opting out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but but I'm not like, whose head is there yet? Are you already on the off? I'm like, I just want, if that happens, you deal with it. I want him to be the ace that he can be for the second half of this year.
It's not going to make any difference, Mark. They don't have any hitting. Okay, you can have Roger Clemens pitching out there, and they're still going to stink because they don't have any hitting at all. I mean, the team is bad. I mean, if they had any good players on AAA, you would have had teams knocking at the door trying to prime out, at least, and take this player off my hands. Can I take some of your minor leaguers? Nothing at all. Why? Because there's nothing worth to talk about. They may have some pitching prospects out there, but that's all they are, prospects. And like I said, anything they have worth, bringing up to the mayors, they're already here, and even they are struggling. So I just don't see them doing anything on the second half. If anything, I think they might even stink even worse than the first half.
Man. Jose, thank you very much for your comments and for calling. Would this shock you? And I'm not trying to rally back at Jose's point and suddenly tell you that the Giants are some amazing hitting team, because they're not. Where do you think that they rank? Just batting average as a team in Major League Baseball. There's 30 teams.
Batting average? Yeah. They're probably right in the middle. I'd put them at 15th.
Nice job. They're 14th.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're in the top half of the league.
Fine.
Okay, so
home runs, they're probably in the bottom third.
Home runs.
Because ultimately,
let me get you that.
I mean, the batting average is nice, but it's all about the power stick and
home runs not great.
24th in home runs. Yeah, and you mentioned the negative run differential. They're one of 5 teams in the National League, the 5th to last in the National League with the negative run differential, and a lot of that is born out of what we saw yesterday, which is 3 runs, and you needed all 3 to get it done. And you play in a pitcher's park, I get that, but the idea then would be have a dominant pitching staff. And I personally don't think that Blake Snell will opt out, even if he has a terrific last, what's he got, probably about 10 starts left, 11 starts.
Yeah.
Even if he's terrific, I would imagine that he's going to be a little bit gun-shy about going back out in the market unless he finds himself a different agent, because his agent screwed him this year.
Yep.
And he came in not ready, and he got hurt twice, and now it looks like he's into form, and he's sitting on $32 million for next year. If I were Blake Snell, I would opt in and try to have another year next year like I'm used to having.
To me, too early to even have the discussion.
Of course, Jose brought it up.
And right, but there's no way to know what the market will be like. You know what I mean? I feel like every year in every sport, there's this thing that just like there's no way for you to predict, which is what mood all the owners are in. Are you in a spending mood or not? Last year in baseball, they looked at the top guys not named Shohei and largely went, we're not giving you a long-term deal. We're not doing that. It's almost like something happened the moment the Giants announced that they were going to sign Carlos Correa. And the moment that happened, baseball changed. And all of a sudden, the Giants went, we changed our mind. And the Mets went, we'll do it. Just kidding. No, we won't. And it changed. And this whole 10, 11, 12-year deal thing that everyone was doing, they just stopped.
Except for Ohtani.
Right.
Rare the elite of the elite,
exception.
For sure.
Sure. Judge got his. Ohtani's going to get his. But I don't think they're in that mood. Then you go to the NBA. What kind of mood are you in? Not great. Not great. You see this second apron thing everyone's freaking out about? No. And Malik Monk's like, I'll take 19 a year. And the next thing you know, like, not in a big spending mood. I don't know where baseball will be this winter, and that will probably determine, the projections on that will determine what Blake Snell does. If he looks like this over the next 10 starts, believe you me, that boy is opting out.
Yeah, depends on, like you said, what the market's going to be like and the long-term prospect, and also who he decides that he wants to represent him. If it's me and I pitch like this the rest of the year, I'm looking for a different agent, because my agent, Scott Boras, last time, I feel like he kind of did me wrong with what he thought was out there in the market, because you're right, the long-term stuff, especially Blake Snell with a couple of injuries this year, I don't know what the long-term price would be if he goes out there.
Well, and he turns 32 this December. Yeah. So if he opts in, that means he's waiting for free agency at age 33.
Yeah.
I mean, you're running out of years to really go try to get a long-term deal done. And remember who was interested in Blake, reportedly?
The Yankees.
The Yankees. And what's happening with them? Their season's cratering. And what do the Yankees do when a season doesn't go well? They throw money at it. That's what they do.
Yeah.
And so, that's to me, that's where we sit. Guess where the Giants are in OPS? I mean, that's really the one, right? That's the stat that supposedly tells you how you're producing. OPS.
Probably like 13th.
15th.
Yeah, right in the middle.
They're right next to the Atlanta Braves.
Yeah. Who lost their best hitter about a month and a half ago, so.
They did?
Yeah, Acuna Jr.
He's out for the
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So that's why the Braves have come back down, is what I'm saying.
I mean, that's one hitter.
Yeah.
They got a lot of hitters in that line.
They do.
I'm just saying. I'm not trying to tell you the Giants are good. I'm trying to tell you that isn't it amazing there's a bunch of teams that are worse?
Sure, but you look at...
That's baseball now.
That is baseball. I think you can look at all the metrics about the Giants, and they're either in the middle or they're, with the pitching, they're in the bottom. And that's my greater point. You have the most pitcher-friendly park in all of baseball, yet your pitching is not very good. And your defense, quite frankly, is mediocre at best. And part of that is your inability to hold runners. Your stolen base differential is the worst in baseball. The steals that you get versus the steals that you give up. All those little things is what you used to be so good at. And I'm reminded of that from Saturday in the ceremony with the Core Four. That team was great on defense. They had an unbelievable bullpen. They had 3 or 4 really good starters every year. And you went out there and you won tight games. And this team doesn't have that.
Before we leave Blake Snell, how does this one grab you?
I mean, it's just reps, The more you do, the better you get, the more you see, the more you trust it. But this year was weird. I mean, I felt coming into the year I was going to be very dominant early on with just the notes that I had that finished the year. And as I get older, I get better. I understand. I learn quicker. So the groin injuries were pretty annoying. And then signing late, that wasn't fun. So there's a lot there that made it a slow start. But I feel good. And I'm just going to continue to keep getting better.
All right. So, yeah, the slow start. He thought he was going to dominate right out of the gate.
The groin injuries were kind of annoying.
They were annoying. Yeah, boy, they were annoying.
And the late start, he mentioned, bothered him. It still bothers him.
Yeah, it bothers the Giants, too.
Yeah, but the fact that it bothers him so much makes me wonder about his offseason. I know right now it's more a focus about July and August.
Well, how are you translating that? What do you mean by that?
If you opt in, then you control your own schedule.
Yeah,
if you opt out and you got Scotty B representing you again, you might be looking at the same situation where you got to go into an offseason and you're waiting for this big deal and teams are going to slow play you because the hot stove has turned into the not stove.
Yeah.
We don't have, the winter meetings. S is going to happen.